Sudbury with Prepped and Polished in South Natick, Massachusetts. Today I'm going to share 5 tips with you on how to master sentence improvements on the SAT. Improving sentences are a part of your writing score, along with correcting sentence errors, improving paragraphs, and the essay. Students often find this section quite daunting because it tests your ability to correct faults in usage and sentence structure and recognize effective sentences that follow the conventions of standard written English. Let's look at some tips on how to approach sentence improvements on the SAT. Tip number 1. Read the entire sentence carefully but quickly before you look at the answer choices. Ask yourself whether the underlined portion is correct or if it needs to be revised. Let's look at this example. The president worked hard to implement legislation that would stimulate growth, curb inflation, and increase employment. Does that underlined portion sound correct, or does it need to be revised? Well, to my ear, it sounds concise. It seems like it has good parallel structure: stimulate, curb, increase, but I want to be sure. Tip number 2. Don't waste time reading choice A carefully. It's the same as the original phrasing, the underlined portion. Pick choice A only if the sentence is good to go. And once you identify an error, you can eliminate answer choice A and cross it off. Just a tip for you, choice A is used as frequently as answer choices B, C, D, and E. Tip number 3. Do not read the choices on their own. Read choices B through E, replacing the underlined part of the sentence to determine which revision results in a clear, precise sentence that meets the requirements of standard written English. The president worked hard to implement legislation, stimulating growth, curbing inflation, and to increase employment. The president worked hard to implement legislation that stimulated growth, curbed inflation, and increasing employment. The president worked hard to implement legislation to stimulate growth, the curbing of inflation, and increasing employment. And the president worked hard to implement legislation in order to stimulate growth and for the purpose of curbing inflation and increasing employment. My first inclination was correct. Choice A was definitely the most concise and had perfect parallel phrasing, so choice A would be the correct answer, and that's the same as the underlined portion. Tip number 4. Aggressively identify common problem areas in sentences. Eliminate answers that do not fix the problem. You should have a mental checklist about common grammar issues on the SAT. It could be sentence-verb agreement issues, pronoun antecedent, idiom error, misplaced modifiers. These are the most common errors that occur, and you should kind of run through them as you look at a sentence. Let's look at an example. Kelly has an aversion to spiders. She doesn't understand this intense fear, but she avoids them avidly. Let's identify the problem. It's a run-on sentence. There's a comma splice. There's a comma connecting 2 independent clauses. Where's the fix? We need a semicolon. We have to swap the comma with a semicolon to connect 2 independent clauses. So E would be the correct answer. We could eliminate A right off the bat because it's the same as the underlined portion, and we know that's incorrect. B, C, and D are awkward and don't fix the problem, so choice E would be the clear answer. Let's look at another sentence improvement example. Although Senator Fahey and Senator Jones have both proposed plans to reduce the deficit, only one of the 2 are viable. Let's identify the problem. It's subject-verb agreement. The underlined verb are does not agree with the subject one, which is singular. How can we fix that? Well, we can cross A off right off the bat. And anything that has are would be wrong. We know that. E, only one of the 2 plans has been viable, is the wrong tense. And we're left with B and D. D is more clear. Though Senator Fahey and Senator Jones have both proposed plans to reduce the deficit, only one of the 2 plans is viable. B only says only one of the 2 is viable. It's unclear, so D would be the correct answer. Tip number 5. This is a brief tip, but a very important one. Eliminate any answer choice that changes the meaning of the original sentence, so read carefully. Here's a bonus tip for you. If you get down to 2 error-free answer choices, select the most concise one because wrong answers are often wordy and long and unclear. Here's an example. After polling the parish, the church's building committee voted to replace the slate tiles with asphalt shingles, and they did this to save thousands of dollars. Visually, E is the shortest answer, and it just turns out that it is correct. There's no grammatical errors, and it's the most concise. But we know that A, C, and D are incorrect because they refers to committee, which is singular. So that makes A, C, and D incorrect. E is the best answer, and so it could is wordy as well. So we're going to pick choice E. Well, I hope these tips and examples will help you master sentence improvements on the SAT. Remember, you're just trying to make sentences sound better. That's all there is to it. Good luck.